back with your daily comedy news. Jimmy Kimmel says starting Christmas Day, Staples Center in Los Angeles will be known as Crypto.com Arena, which doesn't sound creepy at all. Colbert Crypto, the most confusing thing a venue has been named since Houston's The Plot of Inception Stadium. Kimmel, a lot of people around here in LA don't like the new name at all. You know you're in a weird spot where fans are like, we have to go back to when it was named after an office supply chain. It's a bad name, but thankfully Crypto.com still is not the worst named arena in sports. That honor belongs to the New Orleans Pelicans Smoothie King Center. That's not even a joke. That's real. Myers. So look for the Lakers to be up by 20, then back down by 40, then up by 10,000, then back to 0. Awesome joke. Colbert. Generations of fans have grown up with the Staples Center. For my younger viewers, that name refers to the Staples Office Supply Company. An office is something you used to go to for meetings, which are very like being in-person emails. Oh, emails are long texts with more words, and words are faceless emojis that remind you you're a relic of the past and the future no longer belongs to you. Go Cryptos. Trevor, it's not like Staples is a sacred name from the ancestors. It's a store where you buy 50 packs of binders even though you only need one. Olivia Munn spoke to the LA Times, which means we're on Gossip Corner in a new interview. Olivia Munn claimed fans are speculating about her relationship with John Mulaney incorrectly. Olivia said, it's definitely not foreign for me to have people speculate incorrectly about things and have rumors run rampant in one way. They think they know our relationship so well, when in reality, they don't. There's no way anyone could know what any of his relationships were or what our relationship is. Notice she said is, so that has doused water on the suggestion that perhaps they weren't doing so well. Olivia opted not to correct fans' assumptions because it would feed into a narrative that's just not true. She adds that people often ignore really specific public signs and actions that completely contradict the false narrative. John Mulaney has already incorporated his new relationship into a stand-up act. He joked about the difficulty of telling people you're having a baby and getting mixed reviews. Olivia said, he's so funny and he's so articulate and he's so smart. The first time he made that joke, I remember laughing. I'd be with him on the road and I would hear him tell this joke, and I did feel a sense of healing with it. It's hard to be pregnant for the first time and have anybody say anything besides, like, congratulations. Dave Chappelle played Cincinnati. That's in Ohio, where he lives, and he said nothing feels better than a home game, noting that unlike other shows around the country, he could go home and sleep in his own bed. Kevin Hart was walking down the street or something, and TMZ was like, hey, Kevin Hart, we got to ask you a question, the way TMZ does. Kevin Hart says stand-up comedy should change in the wake of all the buzz about Dave Chappelle's alleged transphobia, but he insists most of the critics don't have a clue who Dave really is. TMZ asked Kevin Hart if he planned to change anything in his stand-up routines due to the backlash against Dave's The Closer. Kevin said, we all have to adjust. We all got to make sure we're operating and managing in a respectful manner. But he wasn't taking a shot at Dave. He said Dave is a very loving guy, and the narrative that's being attached to Dave doesn't necessarily have to be true without knowing the individual. He shouted out to Dave directly and gave him some love. How about this? Kevin Hart will play Arnold Drummond, the wisecracking boy from Diff'rent Strokes, you know, Gary Coleman. Kevin Hart will play Arnold Drummond on a live revival of the 80s sitcom Diff'rent Strokes next month. This will air in December. Kevin Hart, who is 42, takes on a character who was depicted as a tween and later a teen on the series, which ran from 1978 to 1986. In 2019, Kevin Hart posted a meme that superimposed his face on clips of Arnold spouting his catchphrase, "What you talking about?" Kevin Hart said, "I'm effing dying laughing." Gary Coleman passed away in 2010. This special scheduled for December 7th. He'll be joined by John Lithgow as Arnold's adoptive father, Mr. Drummond. That's good casting. Damon Wayans as Big Brother Willis. That's good. Ann Dowd, who I'm unfamiliar with, will play housekeeper Mrs. Garrett. Garrett's character was spun off for another hit show, The Facts of Life. That will also be recreated on the special December 7th, ABC, I think. You'll watch. Daniel Sloss likes playing in the United States and says people tend to be delighted to meet him because of his accent, he said, especially in Texas. People are fascinated by me. We just get the friendliest, most amused Texans. Sloss is Scottish, and he said, "Howdy, where you all from? Scotland?" He says he's been inundated with American culture his whole life. The rest of the world, when we grew up, you're on the news all the time in our comic books, TV series, and media. We know so much about you, and then we come here and you're more than we ever imagined. Every single effing stereotype you told us was true. Meanwhile, back in Scotland, you're not going to find a man in a kilt with bagpipes drinking whiskey, taking heroin, and punching his wife, because that's a stereotype. But in Texas, cowboys literally exist. Oh man, ears up, perk up, take out a pen, write this down. You got to help me out here. Remember last Monday I told you about Rico and the Man? I thought I did a pretty good ad read. It was pretty good. Let me tell you about Rico and the Man, then I'll tell you the issue. Rico and the Man say, these days, everyone and their cat has a podcast about the entertainment industry, am I right? Yeah, I mean, some people sit in the basement trying to chase their dog out of the room so they could tell you comedy headlines about Kevin Hart. I know how it goes. But Rico and the Man say few shows have as much fun doing it as Rico and the Man with Rob Traegler and Peter Martino. Martino with a T. See, here's the issue. I sent in the ad, because that's what you do. You do an ad, and then you go, hey guys, here's the ad, just want you to hear it. And Rob from Rico and the Man emailed me and he said, I approved it, although Peter's last name is Martino with a T. Apparently I said Marino, like the Miami Dolphins quarterback. Yeah, I approved it, even though Peter's last name is Martino, although we think it's funny for this one. So we left it in. See, these guys are cool. Rico and the Man, New Jersey meets California in this bi-coastal hilarious show where two old college buddies take shots at all things entertainment. Rico and the Man is a laugh-out-loud look at Hollywood's past, present, and troubling future with special guests, trivia, listener feedback, and comedy bits. This no-holds-barred podcast is the perfect distraction from your everyday troubles. New episodes every week. Let's see what they got this week. This week, Rob has No Time to Die. Probably a James Bond reference there. Peter Martino with a T, he goes Christmas shopping. Papa Treggs talks staying power. And Pete Davidson bugs us all. Whew. I mean, yeah, there have been some podcasts that mention Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian like every day. Who the hell wants to hear that crap? I'm with you, Rico and the Man. All right, so listeners, you got to hook these guys up with some downloads because I got the name wrong. You know what I'm saying? Do the right thing. Rico and the Man with Rob Traegler and Peter Martino with a T, available wherever you listen to podcasts. They sponsored today's Daily Comedy News. Thank you very much. Time to head on over to Gossip Corner. Uh-oh, this is awkward because this story's about Pete Davidson. I hope Rico and the Man aren't listening. People magazine got it wrong with Paul Rudd. Pete Davidson is the sexiest man alive, according to the Toronto Sun, all right? The Toronto Sun says, I don't know if it's the peroxide tuft or Fozzie Bear peepers or grade 9 art class tattoos that vandalize his torso, but there are no visual clues to suggest this fellow could ever land a Kardashian. Recently, Paul Rudd was crowned sexiest man alive by People magazine. Is Paul Rudd the sexiest man alive? I don't know, says the Toronto Sun. But as we close out 2021, there's an elephant in the sexy room, and his name is Pete Davidson. Forget Rudd and the previous Sexiest Man Alive winners. If we're ever to truly grasp sexy, we straight males with so-so to below average looks need to figure out Pete Davidson's ugly hot appeal, or to use his term, his BDE. B is big, E is energy. You can figure out the rest. Word is Pete Davidson is now dating Kim Kardashian. Think about that. I never want to be mean, but if I was at a red light, Pete Davidson was walking towards my car, and I didn't know who he was, I'd assume he was about to squeegee my windshield for spare change, and now he's dating Kim Kardashian? It's like watching Waldo seduce Jessica Rabbit. I'm sorry, but this makes no sense. I'm looking at photos of Sexiest Man Alive winners from this century. Brad Pitt, Pierce Brosnan, Johnny Depp, Matt Damon, Channing Tatum, Chris Hemsworth, Dwayne Johnson, and now I'm looking at a photo of Pete Davidson in which he appears to have just spent months portaging while smashing ripe bananas into his face. The guy always looks like he was midway through a knock-knock joke before getting nailed with a stun gun. He looks like he doesn't clean his aquarium. He has the vibe of a college kid who ad-libs s'mores and is hostile to flossing. Pete Davidson looks like someone rearranged his face with spare bionic parts. He looks like he hangs out with Grand Theft Auto characters. His creepy smile could scare the living daylights out of songbirds at dusk. Pete Davidson is the sexiest man alive. Not going to be able to top that. Let's go home. Follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Good Pods, wherever you get your shows. If you enjoy what I do, you can buy me a coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Daily Comedy News. You can throw some money in the tip jar. Suggested amount, $5. I actually make a profit on that, sort of. I take your $5 and I buy a large iced coffee with caramel and milk at the National Donuts chain. That's like $3.80 or so. So I guess I'm making $1.20, but then tomorrow you don't buy me an iced coffee. So then I'm like, the next one you're buying like a third of tomorrow's. Buymeacoffee.com/Daily Comedy News. See you here tomorrow.